Hello everyone, Washkone here, and today in the book club we're gonna talk about the book by Dr. Carol Dweck, Mindset. Alright, so basically there is a basic principle that the whole book is being based on, is that there is a fixed mindset, growth mindset. What do those two terms actually mean? Fixed one is that when living under the premise that your physical, mental, any other abilities are fixed and that you cannot really do anything with it, so that means that if you're bad at something, you will always be bad at something. If you started to do something and you feel in lack of talent, that means you shouldn't even pursue doing this anymore. Or if you started doing something and you feel really talented at it because you do it with such an ease, that means that after you may experience the failure in this field, you're no longer talented and you've been lying your life all the time, and that you are a complete failure and that you are doomed for miserable life for all times, and there is no way for you to come out of this pit of unsuccess and do something with your life. You know, of course, I'm definitely describing the extreme example of the fixed mindset, but this is pretty much how the book definitely looks at this. And you know, when you considering if you're having a bad day, you should always think positively about this day. This is the real way of the growth mindset to it. So this way we can go to the growth mindset concept. That pretty much that's everything that happenings around you brings you a lesson to your life which you should apply and progress forward. So you should never give up, basically, and only with the hard work you will achieve excellence and be a great sportsman, scientist, teacher, businessman, entrepreneur, whatever you want to be. You'll become through the hard work and believe in yourself and just continue and do it what you gotta do in order to achieve success. You see, it took me a couple of minutes to describe you the whole concept. Dr. Carol Dweck decided to write the whole book, which I can understand from both sides. Like, definitely there are kinds of people who are already believing that they understand the concept freely, and you know, my colleagues, most of them, if not all of them, were really skeptical of the book, especially after reading it, just in the sense of, hey, it basically takes the same idea and just massaging in your head for all almost 300 pages, and what is there to do with it? Why is it actually happening? You know, I personally was also going through this book, and you know, it basically contains a lot of anecdotes from the life of famous champions. When it goes about the sport, it goes about some of her personal examples, her student examples, and then there are some examples in the relationship phase and the businessman entrepreneurship. All the things are in there, and basically all the places where you can apply the same concept. It all boils down to same thing all over again, being repeated all over again. Which is, you know, I think you need to be in a specific state of mind when reading this book, because if you are not experiencing a lot of struggles with your life, I suppose, or you already sort of applying this principle in your life, you wouldn't really feel much of anything besides irritation. At least that's what most of my colleagues with whom we were discussing this book afterwards were feeling. I personally also don't really like the book because of the repetitiveness, but on the other hand, you know, while I was reading this book page by page, I was actually experiencing quite a nice exercise of self-reflection. Because rather than just reading what is actually written in it, I was mainly thinking of my own experiences and events where I was applying this or that principle when I was actually acting as a person with a fixed mindset or with the growth mindset. And you know, I was usually proud of myself for never giving up in a lot of situations. If we all would be living in the perfect world where everybody is gonna be rational and acting in a certain way, like acting always with the growth mindset, probably the whole world will be a better place, and there will be there will be no issues with there will be no mental issues with people, there will be no something else. We will probably fight a depression. on things like this. But, you know, we are not perfect, and even though a lot of my colleagues were thinking that the whole book is rather repetitive and it's so unnecessary and everything could be described just like in a couple of pages, I did feel the same way. But you know, I think just by giving you this opportunity to go through your personal mind repository and trying to find those interesting events where you acted in a certain way, that actually helps a lot in order to maybe change a bit of your life perception. So I personally think that even though the book itself and the idea itself, there is nothing new in it, and there is a lot of other ways the same message was communicated to us before, in films, cartoons, it's cool in a lot of books, in fiction books as well. The whole book was still boiled down to the same idea, which is a positive idea after all. So even though a lot of people were feeling the irritation by feeling that the same idea was just massaged in their head, and they didn't really see a benefit in reading all of those things all over again, I personally think that going through all of the anecdotes of other people and how they actually in the end reach success by applying the growth mindset just helps you to try to remind yourself that you just should action in this certain. Because yeah, like, it's easy to say when you read the book that, hey, this is an easy one. Why am I need to read this all over again? Because it's so obvious. But when it actually comes down to acting under this principle, without always remembering all of this and trying to be the best version of ourselves. That is why I would not necessarily recommend to read this whole book, because I think there are certain advice that maybe some people would find useful and interesting. But I think it's just for everybody who will be watching this video. I just want to remind that if you cannot succeed at something at first try, or after trying multiple times, or after initial success you failing, then it doesn't mean that it's something only about you. It also doesn't mean that it's only the circumstances who doesn't make it possible for you to succeed. But it does mean that you should not give up, and you should always look forward to your next challenge, and you should always be excited to overcome it. Because this is exactly the moment how your life may improve and how you can succeed and be just a better version of yourself by doing hard work, by not thinking in a framed way, and just trying, and trying. Thank you very much for listening. That was my take on Carol Dweck's mindset. I hope you enjoyed this book club, and yeah, give a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time.